Hello, my name is Caden Williams. My presentation is on personality theories inside psychology. In this slideshow, we'll look at how early thinkers like Freud definitely shaped the field, and then we'll move on to more modern approaches like trait theories, cross-cultural perspectives, and the person-situation debate. So let's get into it. Personality is what makes us unique, but also predictable. It refers to the consistent way we think, feel, and act across different situations. Psychologists have studied personality to understand both the general rules of behavior and individual differences. As you can see, we have the actual definition of what personality would be defined as, which is long-standing traits and patterns that guide our thoughts and feelings and all the behaviors that we do on a day-to-day basis. Freud believed our personality is shaped by ongoing conflict between three parts of our mind. The ID is our instinctive drive for pleasure. Always what we want to do, and we want that instant gratification right then. The superego is our moral compass, what determines between right and wrong, and our conscious, that little voice on our shoulder. Just like the picture shows, our voices on the shoulder telling us, one thing versus another, telling us to do the right thing. And then our ego works kind of in between. I know I kind of did that out of order there, but it works in between what our desires are and actually what is reality, and determining those. Freud also believed childhood experiences could strongly shape who we are when we become an adult and who we are as a person. So that's one thing to keep in mind. To protect us from anxiety, the ego uses defense mechanisms. These happen unconsciously, so we don't often realize we're even doing them. It's subconscious. For example, denial would mean refusing to accept reality, like someone who insists they don't have a problem even when it is obvious that person has a problem. Projection means taking our own feelings and attributing them to someone else, like accusing another person of being angry when we're actually the angry one. It would be the kind of relationship problems right there. Repression is when we push painful or threatening thoughts out of our awareness. These strategies reduce stress in the short term, but they can also tend to distort the reality that is going on around us. So, Alfred Adler focused on the idea of the inferiority complex, suggesting that people are often driven by feelings of weakness or inadequacy and strive for superiority to overcome them. Erik Erikson expanded personality development beyond childhood and into adulthood, creating his theory of psychosocial stages. He explained that at each stage of life, people face important conflicts like trust versus mistrust, or identity versus role confusion, that shape their personality and growth. Carl Jung introduced the idea of the collective unconscious, which includes shared symbols and archetypes that appear across cultures, such as the hero or the mother figure. He also gave us the concepts of introversion and extroversion, which describe whether a person is more inward focused or reflective, or outward focused and social. Together, Adler, Erikson, and Jung broadened our understanding of personality by showing how inner drives, social challenges, and shared human symbols all play a role in who we are. Allport categorized thousands of traits into three levels: cardinal traits that dominate life, central traits that define personality, and secondary traits that appear in specific situations. Later, Cattell narrowed this list into 16 factors like warmth, dominance, and sensitivity, and developed the 16PF questionnaire. That is almost like a personality. You see all those personality quizzes online nowadays. It's that he developed that one. Hans and Sybil Eisnick, on the other hand, believe that personality is strongly shaped by biology, not just our experiences. They said there are two main dimensions of personality. The first being extroversion versus introversion, basically how outgoing or reserved someone would be. The second is neuroticism versus stability, which describes how emotionally reactive or calm a person tends to be. Later, they added a third dimension called psychoticism, which reflects traits like independence, creativity, and nonconformity. So overall, their theory connects our biology to the way we think, feel, and behave. The five-factor model, often called the Big Five, is the most widely accepted theory of personality today. It suggests that everyone has the same 5 traits, but we each show them in different amounts. The 5 traits are openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Openness reflects curiosity and creativity. Conscientiousness is about being organized and responsible. Extroversion describes how outgoing and energetic someone is. Agreeableness reflects kindness and cooperation, and neuroticism relates to emotional stability versus anxiety or moodiness. These traits tend to stay fairly stable throughout life, although they can shift slightly as people age. For example, many people become more agreeable and conscientious over time. Overall, the 5-factor model gives us a clear and consistent framework for understanding personality. Culture tends to play a big role in shaping personality. Generally, there's like 2 schools of thought. Individualist cultures like the US stress independence and competition, it being in a free market and capitalism, while collectivist cultures like many in Asia or Africa tend to stress harmony and group needs. Very communal kind of things. Psychologists study personality cross-culturally using 3 approaches: comparing Western theories across cultures, developing indigenous measures, and they tend to combine both. This is a very interesting debate, in my opinion. In 1968, Walter Mischel argued that personality might not be as consistent as we think. He showed behavior depends heavily on the situation, which I would tend to agree with, that it's not just the traits. The famous marshmallow test found children who delayed gratification had more success later. Though later studies showed family and environment also play a big role. So it really just depends on your situation. Today, psychologists agree both personality and situations interact to shape behavior. One theme across all these theories is that psychology looks for general principles while also recognizing individual differences. Both our traits and our environments interact to create unique personalities. For example, general principles might include the fact that most people experience emotions like fear or joy, but individual differences explain why one person is naturally more anxious while another would be more laid back. The ultimate goal of personality psychology is to integrate these approaches, general laws of human nature, alongside the diversity of personal experiences. To wrap up, personality theory has grown from Freud's psychodynamic ideas to modern trait theories and cultural studies. While traits give us a general picture, situations and culture also shape who we are. Here are all my references, and thank you for watching, and I appreciate this class. I hope you have a great rest of your year.